Welcome, everybody, to another Kicking Tables. Today, we would like to welcome Robin Elliott, the publisher of the upcoming Shards of Madness, coming to Kickstarter tomorrow. Robin, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me onto your show.
So, let's jump right into the game itself. Give you an opportunity to tell our viewers what is Shards of Madness and give us a brief overview of how it plays.
Okay, sure. So, Shards of Madness. It's a game of competing cultists, and it's about you using crystals and the power that they hold to convert them into a mana that you can use to summon creatures and items of the Cthulhu mythos. And once you've managed to summon these cards, these creatures and items, they have an effect on them, which sometimes they can be an instant effect. So as soon as that card is summoned, you have to use the effect straight away. Sometimes it's an ongoing effect, and others are sort of a game scoring effects. So they happen after the game has been played. So there are different combinations of cards that will aid you to win, and the game is basically played until someone has summoned six cards, and then there's the end of times, which it the gives you one more turn, and then the player who wins has got the most madness points.
Right.
So it's a game where you're obviously, the more you learn about the mythos, the more your grip on reality it diminishes, and so the closer to insanity you become. So you could actually trigger the end game and not have enough victory points to win. So
Right.
you have to balance it carefully. You have to see what your opponents are doing, and figure out the best combination of cards that will get you the victory. So it's a game of quite heavy resource management,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a super fun. It's not an epic game. It should be played within about 45 to 60 minutes, depending on how many players you've got. So yes, it's a fun, sharp little game, and I mean, I love the artwork. It's really evocative of the theme and of the subject.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
It
super
is a
excited.
it is a great looking game. We've had the opportunity to play it and preview itself ourselves, and our preview will be up the day your campaign goes live. I'll put a link right up there to that for everyone to go and check out. This is sort of like the opposite of a lot of Cthulhu Mythos games, where most Cthulhu games, you're trying to stop the return of the old gods. You're trying to
Yeah,
stop the cultists from doing these rituals, whereas this game embraces and makes you the cultist trying to summon them. So it's a really great. I love that concept where it kind of flips the whole Cthulhu game on its head and says, "No, you know what? You want to summon them. You
yeah,
want to be as mad as possible to win the game." So that's awesome. I love it.
yeah. This game is actually it's a game that we saw at Essen last year, and it has been published before. It's been published in China.
Okay.
So we have a relationship with Joypie, which is the name of the company that published it in China, and they showed the game to us. It was all in Chinese, obviously,
Mhm.
but we played a couple of games, and we instantly enjoyed that kind of idea that you are the cultist trying to bring the end of time, end
Yeah,
of days,
yeah.
and bring the end of humanity. And yeah, so that's the origin story for the game. So we are licensed to produce the English edition,
Okay.
and
Okay.
so that's why quite a few people that seen the preview copies are always saying, "Oh, the quality's really top notch for a prototype." So it's because it's mostly
It's
the
most
original published game. Um, so yeah, that's the origin story. And as I say, when we played it, we absolutely loved the resource management. It was just a little bit different to other Cthulhu games. And Triple H games, we publish a lot of kind of horror material, and so it kind of fits our kind of our sort of record of publishing. And even though it's not horrifically scary or anything like that, I don't think
Right.
any children are going to be scared by playing this game. Um, so it's a nice game that to have picked up to publish in English. So we're yeah, super happy to bring it to a new audience.
So the original game, has it changed at all? Did you guys adapt it other than a translation? Did you guys make any other changes, or was it always Cthulhu based? And did you guys
It was
improve the components, or?
it was always Cthulhu based. They presented it pretty much in the format that you see it, with the tarot sized cards, the chunky crystals. We felt that those things were nice. It showed off the artwork, and the crystals are chunky, and they feel like something weighty that you're playing with. So we didn't feel like we needed to change that aspect of the game at all. We were quite happy with the component quality. I think we're looking at maybe something slightly different with the Leo character. The standee that came didn't quite work as nicely as we'd like. So we're looking at that slightly differently. And there are, I mean, we got the translation of the cards, and there are some cards that we felt needed some changing. I can't quite remember which ones they are now, but basically some of them seemed very unbalanced.
Okay.
so
Okay.
so we've done some work during our playtesting to just to even up things a little bit. So there are some minor changes, but on the whole, the game is pretty much as we saw it last
Yeah.
year at Essen.
So
Oh,
you're
that's
working
awesome.
through it to balance it out, and kind of iron out any little kinks that might hinder it. Now, we noticed when we were playing the game that it's really more of a race to the finish type game. There's not a
Yes.
lot of take that mechanics to try to slow down or stop your opponent. Was there ever any thoughts of putting stuff like that into some way to fight back against your opponent to try to win,
Um,
or
yeah, I mean, I think if this goes really well, I mean, we would look to maybe bringing out an expansion,
Hmm,
possibly adding new cards that can do that kind of thing. I think we're also super kind of careful about having games that are to take that,
right?
because the play experience can be pretty tough for certain people that don't really enjoy that. I
That's
mean,
true.
I I like it. I quite like a sort of solid take that sort of a game. So it doesn't bother me, because I know that there'll be another chance for me to have a game where I can get my own back. But so this game we kind of balanced it. Uh, to be not to take that, and that kind of was the flavor of the game as we saw it anyway.
Right.
So we didn't want to change that too much, and don't want to scare people off playing the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
I mean, I think the game there is kind of a lot of focus on your own side of the table.
Yep.
Although you do have to be aware, and there are a couple of cards. I mean, I think there's a couple of cards that can steal experience from your opponent. Uh, uh,
Yes.
So there's a small amount of that can slow somebody down. But I think you are correct in saying that it's a game that you've got to get to the finish quite quickly. And the strategy that you employ to do that is the way to win the game.
Right. And
Okay.
even if you're the first one to get six items, or 6 items or cards,
Six
summons.
summons.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You're not necessarily guaranteed to win anyway,
no, that's
right?
right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
right.
That's
there's
just
some great
yeah.
strategy with making finding. I know I had I sacrificed three cultists
Yeah.
during our playthrough in order to sort of bring out more powerful cards for better end game victory points. And Really enjoyed that mechanic of it because I could have ended it way earlier, but
Right.
really had fun with that. Like, well, I like that, that extra madness I'm going to get by doing it this way. So it's really fun
Yes.
to strategize a little bit with that.
And I
Yeah.
think also with the game, obviously you've got the two decks, the two gates that are either side of you as a player, and you have to collect the crystals to unlock those gates to get more cards. But also you've got that thing of, well, if I do that now, then I've just basically let my opponent unlock the gate and get the card. So there's kind of this timing thing that
Yeah.
you've got to just watch out that you're not going to give things away to. Obviously, sometimes you can't avoid that.
Yeah.
You have to take the crystal and progress your game, but just hope that your opponent doesn't draw Cthulhu. So
That's right.
that, that's an interesting aspect to the game. Just that kind of timing and especially when you've got more players in the game, there's
Yeah.
there's more decks to be
To pull
unlocked.
from.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Well, what about when you have less players in the game? You guys have a very unique solo play, variant in
Sure.
Shards of Madness. So yeah, can you tell us a little bit about that?
I think I'm not personally much of a solo player myself. I don't buy a game for a solo mode. I
Yeah.
know that some players do, and that's great. And I'm really pleased that this game is able to offer a solo mode. And I think it works quite nicely that you're obviously you're competing against Leo, the cultist, and the fact that you can set it to be harder or easier depending on your play level. So there is a challenge there. I wouldn't say it's the greatest playing experience because I think the fun comes when you're playing with other people. But yeah, it's an interesting solo game. And to be able to offer that to our potential backers is great because I know that every time I've launched a Kickstarter campaign for a game, that one of the first questions is, does it play solo?
Yeah. A
so,
lot of people
so
are looking for solo modes in games, especially now, with
yeah,
the pandemic and everybody's quarantined
sure,
and whatever.
Yeah.
You just want to get out, and a lot of people just want to play a board game, and maybe they're by themselves. But so, briefly describe, how does the solo mode work? How are you competing against Leo the Elder?
so in the solo mode you have the altar set up, which is the number of cards that you start the game face up with,
Right.
and Leo starts at the right hand side of that line of cards, and each turn he moves one step closer to the left hand side, and if he ever gets to the end of the row, that card is summoned. So
Okay.
so you have to carry on playing the game, releasing the crystal, taking the crystals off the gates, drawing the cards. You still have to summon you still have to summon 6 cards yourself. But obviously, because at the beginning of the game you start with very little in terms of resource, it takes a little while to build up to be able to summon those cards. So
Hmm.
all that time, Leo is there, summoning the cards, and you
Right.
know, if he gets to 6 cards before you do, you lose the game. It's the game plays pretty much in a similar sort of a way, but just this kind of, you've got this timing thing that you have to compete against,
Right.
and you can make it harder by moving Leo further up the line of cards. Um,
That's
so
cool.
that's the solo mode.
Yeah. That's awesome. So you're bringing it to the English market, and you did your
Yeah.
own play testing. Do you have any fun stories that happened during your own play testing as you're going through this? Like, any fun stories you like to tell? Did you ever take it to like conventions and get people to play?
Well, sadly, we haven't really been able to do any conventions with it, and that's just because of the pandemic.
Right.
Um, so it's been very difficult to show it to too many people that will be our customers. But we have a strong following of people that have supported us in the past. So we're hoping that they will will come along and support us on this next project. We haven't launched it quite yet, but we have got this game up on Tabletopia so that people can try it before they pledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are ways. I'm still thinking about whether to offer a print and play version. So there might be some ways to get people to play the game during the campaign. But in terms of our own sort of play testing, there has been some, well, just some very. I mean, I've had a couple of frustrating games where, I'm always unlocking the gates at the wrong time and allowing my opponent to get the cards, and we've had some very close games. It does tend to be quite close to the sort of the victory points between opponents. So you think if I just get this one card, I'm sure I've got enough points to win. But then you forget he's got an end scoring card. Your opponent has an end scoring card that just doubles all the cultists or something like that. So you just there has been some close run-ins on this game.
Yeah, Tico and I found the same thing as we were testing it ourselves. I had triggered the end game, but he still won with 49 points to my 44.
Nice.
So yeah, it was a close game, but even as I mentioned earlier, even if you're the first one to summon 6 creatures or items, doesn't mean you're going to win. I summoned the 6, triggered end game, and Tico still won the game.
Yeah, with less summons overall too, because I had a couple of
large ones,
a couple large ones, and a few of those extra victory point conditions.
That's
like
right.
for every one of these that you have, you get this.
Yeah.
So there's plan that out a little bit more.
There's a lot of good deep strategy in doing that. So Tico was sacrificing his cultists to gain more mana, which allowed him to buy more expensive creatures, which ended up basically winning the game for him. So it was good strategy employed. Whereas I was just like, I just need to get 6 cards, and I'm like, I'm just getting mana. I'm like, I'm buying this. I mean, some of them had good end game points, but I just didn't have that as deep a strategy as Tico had for him to actually get more points. So that's what I love about this game is it's anyone's game until the very end. It's great. Yeah. It's great. I never felt like I was behind, and I think that's what's great about this game is you can be playing this game and feel like you can win, and you really don't know until the end when you add it all up.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I love the whole thing of that kind of crystal manipulation where if I trade in those 4 blue crystals and I'm going to get 5 mana, and then I'm looking to see whether then I can get a creature that gets me that 1 experience point as well.
Right.
So yeah, there is a lot of decisions to be made. There's in your strategy, and to obviously get the best use out of the crystals that you can. So yeah, it's just a super fun game.
Yeah, it really is.
We really enjoyed it. Can you tease any of your campaign stretch goals that you might have coming up?
We've actually one of the things that we tend to do with our campaigns is to offer 3D printable upgrades.
Okay.
One of the things that I love with the hobby that I'm massively into 3D printing. So I have a couple of FDM printers and a resin printer as well. So I really enjoy pimping my own games with upgrades that you can't normally get. So what we've done is actually offer these kind of upgrades to people, and I know that not everybody has the equipment to do these things, but we tried it on our last game, Dwarven Beer Fest, and actually a surprising number of people wanted the 3D files that they could take home and print these things. So with the last game, which was it was a dwarven drinking game, so we'd offered a unique game box which was in the shape of a barrel, and with this game, Shards of Madness, I've created a box that has that you can print in kind of couple of separate parts that you have to then build it together. But it has it's a hinged box with a self-locking mechanism, but
Nice.
able to do able to take some extra things like I've designed these gates that sit on top of the decks. So
Okay.
so they contain there's like a little depression in the top which allows you to keep the crystals on the top of the deck. So you can print those out yourself and use them as a nice accessory in the game. The game box container will store all those parts, and we've also got a mini cultist who you can print out as to replace Leo.
Leo, yeah.
So
Yeah.
so so there's those things will be available as an add-on or separate pledge level. In terms of stretch goals, the problem with this game is that actually it's fairly complete. So I'm thinking that we may offer further miniatures. That's for 3D printing, so that you can when you get the bigger cards out, there's a mini that can sit on the card. So it's a little bit of bling and possibly have an additional effect that
Okay.
will be on a card. So that's the kind of way that I'm going with it. So watch this space, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
so
Well, after Kickstarter is done, if somebody comes and discovers Shards of Madness, but the Kickstarter's already done, where will they be able to pick up the game?
so once we've done our campaign, we always have a backer kit, which will have a pre-order for a few months, probably 3 or 4 months, while we manufacture and get the game ready to ship to backers. So there'll be an option to do that. There'll be a link from the old Kickstarter page if you discover it that way. We'll also have that on our website at tripleacegames.com.
Okay.
And following the time that the backers get their copies, we'll be selling directly from our site. We have a distribution deal with some stores in America should be able to get hold of this.
Awesome.
But generally, if you want it, you can get it directly from us at our website.
Excellent. That is awesome.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Shards of Madness hits Kickstarter tomorrow, October 20th. Everybody be sure to go check it out because it is a fun game. Really, it is. And you can check out our interview. I'll put a link to our interview down below. So, check that out. And, Robin, thank you so much for joining us and good luck with the campaign. I think it's going to go well. But I know you don't want to get your hopes up. But good luck with it anyway. I think you've got a winner here.
Thanks so much, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you both.